Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Buenos nachos, amigos. And welcome to Record Breakers. Coming at ya. Watcha. I'm Peter Rave, your man with no plan.
This is racist.
And the killer martial arts skills. Here
of
with
South
me,
Florida.
Yes, here with me is my clan. The Record Breakers clan is probably one that you could fuck with. We've got Brett.
Can't buy me Reptilicus.
We've got Drew.
Hey.
And we've got Patrick.
Howdy, folks.
We're here, not on liquid television, but on internet television. We'll talk about music. And the provider of the music this week is Drew. Drew, what do you got for us this week?
Like I said last week, this is sort of something I found a little serendipitously, something that caught my ear, and I ended up really, really enjoying what I heard and digging deeper into it. So DJ Okawari with Compass is sort of instrumental hip-hop record of sorts.
Yeah, instrumental hip-hop, new jazz, Japanese jazz, mix of styles, yeah. Out of Shizuoka, Japan. Cool.
Fusion.
You're better with the Asian words than I am.
It helps. The Spanish helps. It's like, it's all the same vowels. I, E, I, O, U. Brett, what were your expectations coming into this album?
Well, after when we were finished with Record Breakers the show, there is sometimes Record Breakers the post show. Well, actually, every time there is, but this time Drew was like, "Oh, this is a list of albums that I was thinking about bringing," and he listed off a whole bunch of them that were based out of Atlanta, Georgia, and had Ludacris involved in one of them. So I did not think that one of these things was not going to be like the other when he actually picked one. So I had no idea what I was getting into. And I will tell you here first, this is not a Ludacris album. Nothing like it. But
No.
This is not word of mouth.
Yeah. But it is pretty ludicrous.
It is.
Patrick, what were your expectations coming into this album?
I did not know what it was, other than the guys had DJ in front of his name, so I assumed there might be some variation of hip hop, but that could also easily just be dance music. So I coming in blind, but I found things.
Yes. Yeah.
Delta Julia.
Drew, what? How would you describe this album musically?
Well, like I've been saying, I found it in a weird way. I've been putting on sort of instrumental streaming YouTube channels while I'm doing other things, cleaning, working, whatever. And one of them I've put on a lot is from a guy named Chilled Cow is the name of the YouTube channel. And it's a lot of lo-fi, like hip-hop, a lot of instrumental lo-fi hip-hop stuff. And I ended up hearing one of the tracks on here, and it immediately caught my eye. So unlike most of the stuff there, which I usually just put it on because it's cool background music, this was something that I was like, no, I need to check out more of this. The reason being was that because this stuff, for me, there was more depth to it than a lot of the other stuff out in that sort of lo-fi chill hop realm. The sort of jazzy melodies to it, the piano work, the string work in the song I heard, which was the second track on this, Starry Skies, which I'll get into a bit more later, was something that had a neat depth to it, and yet the hip-hop elements to it still struck a chord, was still really cool. So I was like, okay, I want to see an entire instrumental album from this guy. What I found was the track that hooked me. I went to that one first, and it was from the newest album, Compass. And every other track had a feature on it, and it had either some sort of singer or as the first track, it had an actual rapper, and it's something that was really interesting to me, hearing this guy who obviously deals in instrumental, but then like going out and saying like, okay, let me put somebody on this track, or let me put somebody on this track, and then hearing how it differs between the two, between when he's using an instrumental, and then how that can influence like a track with somebody on it, and how he would do that. And that to me was really cool. A lot of this stuff, like I said, is that sort of new jazz sort of feel to it, that it has a lot of smooth feel to it, and it's something that is really relaxing at times. But the depth there is something that I think was really cool, and something I didn't expect when I'm listening to that live stream, and something that I think is really neat on this album, and how the album will flow from an instrumental and then take the instrumental, and you can hear the influences in the next song that would have a singer on it or something like that. I think that's really neat, and how this album's constructed.
Yeah. Brett, how would you describe this album musically? What would be the themes and elements that caught your attention?
Describing this album, this is music that you do illegal substances and or perform coitus during. It's piano, it's beats, it's some vocals. You light some candles, put on Al TV, all the best things. It's a pretty great combination. The piano, the beats, and the vocals, that's your great triangle of power, the triumvirate of musical wizardry. Sometimes the vocals aren't there. Sometimes there's a nylon string guitar or a synth pad. When present, the vocals are pretty all right, and very much in English. So you don't have to have the like we have played these lyrics are in English by people who don't speak English, or it's just you're never going to know what these are unless you look up read the sleeve. But no, this is very approachable. It's fairly simple, but it's extremely tight. It's a genre that I don't have the vocabulary. I don't know this style of music to describe exactly what I'm picking up on, but it drips with quality. And if you listen to it, you will be able to piece out that's a thing that you don't hear people do every day. And it does that to you. Not a lot of sproing is going to be popping off at you, but there is a synthesizer, which is sproing adjacent.
Yes. That is for sure. Patrick, what would be the themes and elements that caught your attention on this album?
Who knew that hip hop just really needed like some piano played over it to really become something kind of altogether different and wonderful?
The Japanese.
Apparently a Japanese guy. So this is like that is really the core of this record, is drum machine, but like really, really, really well put together drum beats with really, really good choice of patches for everything. Piano, and then some odd instrumentation blended in as necessary, and occasionally vocals. I really enjoyed it. There was a lot of cool stuff here, and we'll talk more about like individual songs when we get into them. But like this is the kind of music I put on when I need to get shit done, because it is very much, it's a little less less focused on lyrics or what's going on vocally, and more so on the music. And it like the parallels I drew, and Brett sort of briefly brought it up in the pre-show talking about the Samurai Champloo soundtrack. That's a guy named Nujabes, who's another Japanese DJ who makes a lot of instrumental hip hop, and his stuff is different than this, but also like shares some sort of, I think the ethos is the same, but the instrumentation is different. He's very sample heavy, whereas I think a lot of this is instruments recorded specifically to be on this record, mixed with programmed drums and stuff. But Japan knows how to make something a little bit different in hip hop that I enjoy.
Mm-hmm. It It has such a neat mix of like that hip hop with that kind of like the piano, kind of like laying over, and it's so chill. It so puts you in the mindset of like being focused that I really need to utilize this a little bit more so I can kind of find some focus. It is fantastic on that regard, and it's probably literally why it's you would discover it on those YouTube channels that stream music to study to, because I've seen that YouTube has recommended me a few of those channels.
I don't understand those channels, but they're all they are looping gifs of Japanese schoolgirls studying, like animated schoolgirls studying, and then chill hip hop.
Yeah, the best one.
That exact one.
Yep, yeah, the best one is it's just an anime studying kid with some headphones on, writing with a pen, and it's just that looping gift, and then like the name of the artist and song in the top left corner, and it's just always like chill, cool tunes. The one, like I said, the one that I always suggest is if you're into this, if you hear this and you dig it and you want to go down that rabbit hole, Chilled Cow. He has like lo-fi hip hop radio is my favorite. The other ones they put in too much of the lo-fi that has like the vinyl pops and stuff, and I don't dig that side of it too much. So,
hey, vinyl pops are better than tape hiss any day of the week. I don't care who you are.
Exactly. Preach. Yes.
Dolph Lundgren.
But yeah, let's talk about some of the key tracks. Drew, what would be some of the key tracks to zero in on?
Well, it starts off with Taylor Okawari and being a feature on Bounce. He's great. We were talking right before we hit the record button about how we haven't done Black Star yet, which is insane to think about, because him and Mos Def are really great, really smart, really inventive, and the thing I like about specifically Talib is he goes outside of the norm a lot. He's really inventive, and I really dig it. Adding him to this type of beat, I think, makes a lot of sense, and I think it leads off the record and sets a tone really well. Starry Sky, again, this is the song that like sort of brought me in and was like, oh, okay. There is something soothing about this song that I absolutely love. The way the piano and the strings play off of each other is really, really great. The guitar tone is just absolutely fantastic, and then taking that guitar style and the drum beat and how it transitions into Midnight Train, I think works really, really well. Plus the vocals, whoever this Emmy Myers person is, I want to look up more from them hearing her voice on this, because I think her voice is really, really fantastic. And then Mirage. This is the song that, like, if anybody wonders why some musicians and some like audio engineers and stuff will start worrying about voicing and worrying about which instruments and which voice you're going to hear, like, this is going to be a song that I'm like, hey, this will say why, like, that's important, because I think that how the piano is used, like, as essentially a voice, if you replaced the main, like, piano melody with just a vocal with like lyrics, it would work perfectly to me. And it made me realize, like, oh yeah, like, duh, I should be like, there's another way I can go back and listen to this again, which is like to realize, like, where is he using that and how is he using those type of things really, really well. And it's one of those tracks that, like, yeah, no, it's, you can sometimes do that where you find the one track where it's like, no, this is a great example of this. Like, hey, like, if you want to understand why that's used, and Mirage to me feels like using instruments and voicing really well. I think Mirage does fantastically. So.
Mm-hmm. Brett, what would be some of the key tracks for you?
Bounce. Yo, we got birds and a piano. And some reverse cymbal crashes, and a hip hopist. It's a great opening track. Also, bringing up a World's Fair never hurts. It was good enough to get Bart and Milhouse and all those guys to drive across the country in a stolen car. It's good enough to please Brett Hibbard. Midnight Train. It's a 5-minute long song that is poppy, and it's got like the R&B groove and a prominent digital beat. It's slow danceable if you are wild and wacky and want to go out for a couple skate. You can do it. There isn't really anything that sneaks up on you. But it's the song that is played the most on Spotify at the time of this recording. So like there are a lot of homework being did listening to that. It's a pretty great song. And Mirage. Mirage is one of those extremely Japanese songs that you would find these songs at the end of a like when the credit roll at the end of an episode, either live action or animated. It's very well produced, but it definitely shows where it came from. And that's not a bad thing. It's hard to describe, hey, it's that Japanese piano jazz hip hop thing. I don't really have the words to describe what the hell I'm listening to. But yeah, there's a lot of fun on this album. There's not a whole lot of jump splits and pyrotechnics, but there's some good songs. Those are 3 of them that I point out that anybody should be able to listen to and enjoy. Mm-hmm. Verily.
Patrick, what would be some of the key tracks for you?
Opening track Bounce. I like Talib Kweli. As we mentioned, we were talking about Black Star before this. And it's just like, I'm never going to complain about a Talib Kweli verse, but like also there's fucking piano, and it was just hit me. Who knew hip hop needed more piano? I did not know that until today, but now I know hip hop needs more piano. So if you make hip hop, oh, okay, but I'm still saying it needs more than just her piano, more piano. Midnight Train. This is really good. It's almost, I would almost call it more of a pop song than a hip hop song, but like the beat is pretty hip hoppy. It's really, really puts together, like this guy's got these like really heavy bassy hip hop beats, but then with, really delicate piano on top of it. And the vocals were really good. A lot of, she's a very musical voice, which is kind of a wishy-washy way of saying she's like good at singing, but like it isn't. It's the way that like notes are bent and the way stuff is carried. It really really worked. Mirage had. Maybe it's just me being a crazy person, but there felt like there was just the tiniest bit of an effect on the piano, like a chorus or a flanger or something. I'm not enough of an effects nerd to know, but like there's just this subtlest thing that makes the piano not sound like just a normal piano, and I really liked it. And this song, like, it had a good enough bass drum like patch that he was using that I had to bring it up because it was perfect. It like had impact, but it had like the right tone. It wasn't clicky, but it wasn't also boomy. It was perfect. And like good bass drums make hip hop, hence people complaining about which particular beat machine makes the best bass tracks. I don't know what it is, but whatever this was good.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to mispronounce it. Saddam. I don't want to say sodomy because, yeah.
Sadame. Yeah.
Okay. Saddam. Yeah.
Like it's like Padme, but sad.
Sadme. Yes.
Just all same cadence.
We were all
Sadame.
sad from Padme.
Okay.
This
one had
accents. Sadame.
Really cool instrumentation, including what I assume was a Japanese wooden flute. It has a fancy name, but I don't know what it is. But that wooden flute thing you hear in samurai movies and in more traditional Japanese music. There was like some bongos going on here, and it was a really cool track, and it was really like you're not going to hear that anywhere outside of this. Like it's just not a thing that gets put together very often. It was fun and interesting and different and kind of stood out.
Yeah. There's so many kind of tracks to kind of zero in on. Yeah, Midnight Train. I will say on Midnight Train, I wish that whatever the website was or whatever article it was, didn't make me aware of the indie voice, the modern quote unquote indie voice, and the vowel thing, were like unnecessary additional vowels on vowels thing. If you can find that article, there's a thing that boiled down the phenomenon like modern singer songwriter voice or indie voice in pop music. And Emmy kind of has that, not full on, but a little bit here and there. And then I will say I wish I didn't notice it, because otherwise she's a fantastic singer. I wish I wasn't aware of that thing, like that thing.
The more you know, the worse it is, Petey.
Yeah.
Stop learning.
Yeah. Yes. Stop caring about tech. Vocal analysis is dumb. I learned this being into K-pop. I learned this being in music. Vocal analysis is dumb. It's just music. Just enjoy it. Yeah. And Talib Kweli is fantastic. Always. You can expect more of Talib Kweli in the future, at the very least from me. But yeah, let's bring it back around the horn for some conclusive thoughts. Brett, what would be your conclusion on this album?
Well, this isn't an album that I would grab off the shelf just any day. It's one of those albums that if I were in a quiet restaurant and they had it playing, I would not be upset at all. It's not really. I come to music for a type of energy and an emotional response that this album doesn't exactly line up. So it's not going to be like the thing I'm going to cruise in my hot rod going down the road to go, slay some bugs with my windshield. But it's well crafted. It, like I said earlier, there's not a lot of low spots. It's pretty steady and it's pretty solid all the way through. And it is an album that you could just put on and just let it go. Keep your pets company. I don't know. If you have time to listen to it, like, give it a shot. It's well made. It's obviously a passion project for somebody. So you might be the target audience for it.
Yeah. Patrick, what will be your conclusion on this album?
I really enjoyed this. I think it's different and interesting in a world where music is sometimes all the same. This was, hip hop is not my comfort zone. It's not my core genre, but it is something I occasionally enjoy. And this is probably something I'll listen to again. And I just want to shout at the world, like some hip hop vocalist with money who's looking to do something completely different and flip the shit on what their albums sound like needs to just hire this guy and do a record with him and see what comes out, because that would be probably really cool.
Yeah. This is overall, it's just such a cool, chill hip hop record. Such a cool, chill record to just vibe out to. It's just to either just zone out or sit down and focus on what you're going to want to do. It just in so many ways that it works in that, and there's things to sink your teeth into if that's what you want to do. But yeah, if nothing else, it's great study music. Drew,
for all that studying that we do, Petey.
I need to go back to school. Drew, what would be your conclusion on this album?
This is something that usually when I bring something on, I stick to a comfort zone. I stick to bands that I've known for a while. This is something that is definitely new in my wheelhouse. This is definitely something that is... I never really knew that this was something that I wanted in my life until all of a sudden I started listening to way too much instrument. I never knew the words instrumental hip hop were a thing that I gave a shit about until this came into my life, and this has hit a lot of really solid notes for me. It's really good. It takes that sort of side of the piano sort of jazz, the light strings sort of jazz that is mellow but has a lot of depth to it, and like Patrick said, provides that like backdrop for like a sort of focus and drive for me, at least. This album is something that I regularly put on if I'm first in the morning at work. I will put this on our stereo for me and whatever agent happens to have to deal with me that morning. And it's something that helps me focus, and it's something that I do like diving into. And it's really just kind of really good. And stepping outside my comfort zone and stepping outside what I'm used to as far as artists and like jumping into other things on this and seeing what it's about, I think it's kind of a fun thing to do every once in a while, because like I said on Twitter a few hours ago, usually I know the reactions I'm going to elicit from most of the guys on this panel from most of my music, and this was something that completely out of left field, but is something I've really found myself enjoying a lot. So
yeah, and I have to agree. It's something that that fits so well into a certain mood. And it's so well made. But yeah, let's transition over. Those are our complete thoughts on DJ Okawari. And now we sum it all up in poetic form with the main event of the evening, with our haiku reviews. It almost feels extra wrong and insulting to do these bad, incorrect,
should we have written sonnets? Should we have written sonnets just to?
It's too late now.
Iambs.
Iambic
yeah, one of those.
Limericks, perhaps. Limericks might be the most appropriate.
Bring a big old long. Bring Beowulf in like a book. Drop it on. This is about this song.
Come on, SI. Let's get to it. Brett, what is your haiku?
Beats crafted with love from the Pacific Island where we stole haiku.
Yes. I don't know how we're going to beat that. Patrick, what is your haiku?
A man from Japan adds piano to hip hop, creates something great.
I got mine. Really cool, chill vibes with a good mix of styles too. Good relaxation. Drew, what is your haiku?
Found it by pure chance. Ended up falling in love, loving all of this.
Get down all up in it yourself on our Spotify playlist. Let it wash over you.
Hammer that subscribe tab.
On the Spotify playlist, you can play Record Breakers the home game. Follow along at home. Do your homework. On that Spotify playlist will be next week's record, and that is provided by me. Barring the occasion, just in case there's a guest episode, it will be in between. But barring that, it will be my album. And my album is we're gonna check in on the progress of Love Exterio's Patreon as they finally released their first batch of their 37 songs that they will make this year as a challenge to themselves and a kind of a commemoration for themselves in 37A. So it's going to be very interesting to talk about this band again, who I love, and to see what they're doing on their Patreon. But yeah, that is next week, and this is this week. And you can, of course, find us all over the internet. Patrick is at Swagger. Britt is at HBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBEmail us at 4recordbreakers. That's the number 4recordbreakers. Recordbreakerspodcast.com. Recordbreakerspodcast at recordbreakerspodcast@gmail.com. Rebelli.net for this and other shows. Rebelli TV on YouTube and other places. Like, share, subscribe, do the things. Until next time, hasta los huevos. Ba-ba-ba-da-ba-ba-da-da-da-da-da-da.